I wish for all mankind a warm Jamaican Christmas night, where there is no snow, where the good sense of media grow. Oh, I wish that we could find true love at Christmas time. Don't have to be concerned.
All right, so the season is one of joy, lots of giving, receiving, and most of all spending. And in order to spend, you have to be out on the road most of the time. But with that comes the flip side of harm and danger. The newly appointed head of JCF's Corporate Communications Unit, Senior Superintendent Stephanie Lindsay, is here with some tips morning.
Good morning.
Congratulations on your return.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's good to have you back. Is it good to be back?
Yeah,
It's been about a week.
It's about a week.
Any readjustments? Or you
Yes.
feel like when you just left?
So, no, readjustments.
Okay.
It's a different feeling.
And you
But
get a hard time as the messenger, don't it?
yes, yes.
She used to that.
Some of the people I did, I've worked with before, so it's not too
Okay.
different. Yes.
Excellent.
Speaking of harm and danger, I pray that you and the force will be safe right through the Christmas. We were talking before we came on. So every year at Christmas, it seems like there's a spike in things bad.
No, man, not all things bad, but we do see some crime happening around Christmas time, and we can understand why. A lot of the areas of concern are where you have spend money, cash. So at Christmas time, you have more people shopping, you have more persons going out, persons who would not normally go home during the rest of go out, they're going out at Christmas time. So what we try to do is to see how best we can make them safe and feel safe during this time. So we try to use public education and communication of one of the tools. In addition to, we have increased deployment right across the country. And of course, one of the features of this will be some robust enforcement.
Preventing robberies. We have some headlines here. Preventing robberies. Take us through some of these.
All right, robbery is one of the areas. So to prevent robberies, we ask persons to just use some common sense practice. Try as much as possible to make yourself less vulnerable to those kind of things, the kind of things that you wear. So jewelry, the excessive jewelry, the carrying around those expensive gadgets, those are things that will make you vulnerable because they are looking for things that can be easily disposed of for cash, or they're looking for cash. So how you travel, if you're walking on the street, we see people walking around with the expensive phones and the headphones.
And them head in the phone.
And they are not paying attention. So alertness is one of the things that we encourage persons to practice during the season. We also see where a lot of motorcycles are featured in a lot of these incidents where you're walking on the street and they ride along and they snatch whatever property they can from you. So we ask that you be very alert in these instances.
I saw, well, unfortunately, at 9 years old, my daughter has witnessed a robbery. Roosevelt Avenue, man is literally cutting the bag off the back of the person he's robbing. So them now grab again. Is anything, any means necessary. So if they have to cut it off, slice it off, it will come off. You say be careful of the gadgets. Is it that you're telling us just leave them, or is it that you're saying conceal them?
All right, if you can leave them, leave them. If not, conceal them. So say you have two phones and you have a less expensive one, you want to leave the more expensive one at home. If you have to go shopping, even the bags, sometimes it's recommended that you don't take these very large bags around that time. Maybe if you can, put your money in your pocket, separate your cash based on how you intend to use them. So we always say try to do some pre-shopping before you go on the road. Have an idea where you're going and the cost. So you're not taking out large sums of money.
Or don't carry the cash at all.
Don't carry the cash if you can.
Use the cards.
Yes. We also see robberies, persons going to the banks. So they will go to the bank, and by the time they leave, either they're intercepted on the road and robbed or at their destination. Okay. What we find out too is that there's a networking around that where they profile people from the bank. So they have their network. Because the criminal network is very organized. So they will put their spies in the bank in all to just spy on persons who are doing business, looking at the amount of cash that you're taking, alert the person outside because of using the cell phone. So by the time you go outside, they know exactly who is it that they're going to target.
Okay. Safety at home.
At home, of course, the usual, if you have kids, we know kids are home now, schools are out, so have the conversation not to let anybody in. So where possible, invest in home safety features, be careful who you access at home, and of course with the children, teach your children to scream. If it's fire, if it's a thief, noise. So and not just the children, if you're at home and something happened, be prepared to scream.
Ball out, man.
But yes,
We
so
see the utility companies issuing notices again that their people are properly uniformed, properly ID'd. So if somebody comes and says, I'm from XYZ Water Company or XYZ PS, you don't let them in to the home unless, but even if they're ID, because sometimes these criminals have a way of making themselves appear very, very bona fide when they're not.
True.
So the truth is just not to allow anybody to access your house, really.
Yeah. And use common sense. So if you don't have an electrical problem or a water problem and you see utility persons coming to your house, it's a reason to be concerned. It's best for you to go and call the company. So there are just some little things that persons can do to make themselves safe. And I always say, if you get that feeling, you know, sixth sense,
Trust
just
your gut.
trust your gut
Yeah.
feeling.
Final one, transportation, public transportation, bus, taxi.
That's a big one.
So we're going to continue to say to persons that if at all possible, try to utilize the official mode of transportation. Those are the red plate taxis and buses. This is when you have everybody who owns a car come out to do a little hustling, and part of the hustling is to commit some crime. So we encourage persons, but if you have to, use the same cell phone that you like to text and send messages. Take some information about the vehicle, send it to someone that can be contacted in the event that you... So the registration plate is very useful. Try to get other features, the make of the car, and if possible, take the driver, because we know that there are times when persons will switch the registration plate. So just try to do everything that you can to stay safe.
You say be wary of drivers who ask you to divert from planned routes, but by that time you're already inside of the taxi.
So sometimes if you charge a taxi, you have an idea where you're going. So if you see they're diverting, try if you can to get a call out. I know sometimes when they're up to criminal intention, the first thing they do is to take your phone so you can't communicate. But you have to try to devise a plan, start looking to see if you see any landmark, any signs as to where you are, to give an idea exactly where you are. So there are a lot of things that can happen, but I recognize that if person practice this habit of safety and to be alert, not to be paranoid, but to be alert of everything that is happening around you, we encourage persons to listen to the news, because sometimes you're giving these advisories, you're telling people what to do, but they are not paying attention to it. So we are even using social media as a way of getting the message out, because I find that, especially with young people, that's a preferred way. And of course, the last thing is that on the road, as you celebrate the festive season, be careful. We are seeing too many accidents as a result of drunk driving, careless driving, dangerous driving. I want persons to stay alive come 2020.
Yeah. God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you, SSP.
Head of JCF's Corporate Communications Unit, Senior Superintendent Stephanie Lindsay.
I hope you all made note, guys. We sure did. Up next, saying yes to SOS.
When there is no snow.